Welcome back everyone. My name is Josh Kinney, and in this tutorial we'll be going over SwiftUI list. Now I know we already touched on forms, and lists are very similar to forms, but there are some differences which I'll be explaining in this upcoming chapter. So go ahead, open up Xcode, and let's begin. All right, so now we have Xcode open. Let's make a couple of changes here. First thing, I'm going to change the font size so it looks a little bit larger for you guys when I'm running this. So let's go ahead and look. That looks a lot nicer and easier to read for you. So now let's go ahead and embed in a list. And embed isn't working, so I'm just going to type it out. So list, curly bracket there, then come down here and add another curly bracket. Let's run that, and you should see one static view or static row in the list. So let's go ahead and copy this and do 9 more of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, now let's look and see if that's working. And perfect. So we have 10 static rows now. Now with SwiftUI, they only allow us to have 10. So if we were to add one more here, oop, I didn't paste it. Give me just a second right here. And run that, it'll error out because we can only have 10. So let's go ahead and erase the 11th one, and then let's go ahead and erase the 10th one as well, because now it'll allow us to add a dynamic. Because if you have dynamic rows, we can actually add more than 10. That's the way around it. So that can look like this. You can do a for each, and then from there, we can do a 0 to however many we want. So we'll do less than 15, and then in here, no, I like it spaced out. Let's do your brackets, and then in here we'll do a text. And then inside the text we'll say row, string interpolation, and then inside here do a $sign, which will, and then 0, which will bring the current row. And then we'll say is the best row. Oh, I need to grab this double quotes, as you see. Is the best row, period. Now let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. So great, we have our static, and then we also have the next rows all the way to 14, which really it's 15 because it starts at 0, just like arrays. You're starting at 0, and that's going to say as long as it's not greater than that 15 number, it'll spit it out and give us the current run. So we can also do this right here. And do large as well. Run that again, and now it matches this too. Cool. So row 6 is the best row, row 14 is the best row. So that's static. This is dynamic. Let's go ahead, just like our forms. And again, I will paste my forms link in the description so you can go back and look at that too. There's some cool things to do there. But we can add a section here, just like you can in forms. We're going to add a header. We're going to name what's going to be of a text, and we're going to say the first one is going to be, so we can see the difference, static row, and then we're going to do the brackets, and then we're going to just wrap the static to here. Okay, and then down here we're going to add another section, and we're going to say this one is going to be the dynamic. Oh, I got to do header, type, text, here's this, and here's this, and then we're going to say this is dynamic rows. And then now let's go ahead and run this here. Oh, I forgot to do the bracket, so let's do a bracket there and in the bracket here. I'll do a Control-All, clean that up a little bit. I'm sorry, a Command A and then Control-I to clean that up. It just straightens out your text there. And now you'll see. So now we actually have sections here too. It's working perfect. Another thing we can add in here, just like we can with a form, is we can add another section. Do the header. And then we'll name this header toggle. Okay, then we'll do this, and then inside here we can add our toggle. And then we're just going to do an is on, and then we're also going to do a label. So before that, let's go up here and make one. So we'll make a state property. We'll name this a private var, and we'll set we'll name it is on, and we'll set this to be false at first, and you can turn it on if you'd like. Okay, so now let's pass that in here. So first, the toggle is going to take a constant that is right now set to true, but we're going to change it to is on. So the way you pass it is with the $sign, because this is a state property, and then we're going to do the is on, and then over here we're going to make this label. Let's just kind of replicate the airplane mode on your phone. So we'll just call it airplane mode. Okay, now let's go ahead and run this. And now we should have a section at the top called toggle, airplane mode. And if we click it, we can turn it on, turn it off. So there we go. So we have static, we have an actual toggle, and we have your dynamic rows as well. So here's the thing, why would you use this over the form? Well, the first thing is, this is more of a display. So you're displaying your data with the list. With the forms, the user is inputting some kind of data. So that's the first thing. And the next thing is, inside this list, if all you're using is a dynamic row or rows, you no longer need the for each. I'll show you what that looks like. So I went ahead and deleted all the information in between here already. So let's go ahead and do a text again. And then in here, let's say this is the best row. Let's do a little arrow, and then let's do a backslash. Inside here, do $0, so it grabs the current row. And first off, I'm going to run this to show you real quick. It'll say, hey, you need to basically tell it something here. Like, we don't know what we're grabbing. How does it know? And it's because we didn't specify. Your for each is specifying 0, ... less than 15. So we have to do that here. So after list, you can do 0, ... less than, and I'll do 20 just to show a little bit more. Actually, let's do 21 so it goes up to 20. And then you can go ahead and run this. And check it out. You go all the way to 20, and it shows the data just like it's supposed to. So the other thing is, if you wanted to get rid of this and not actually pass in the row, and you just want to pass in a string, you're going to have to tell it here, hey, what row we're in. So it needs extra data. So you can do an underline or underscore, and then you can do in, and now it's saying basically this inside of this, show this, and you hit run, and it'll do the exact same thing. Now, you don't need to do an underscore, as in basic Swift. If you don't want to name something, that underscore is what's taking place of. But if you wanted to throw a name there, I'll just say name. Let's not capitalize it. That'll work just as well. So you don't have to have the underline if you don't want to. And the reason for this name, let's say you wanted to do a for each or some kind of loop in there, you can grab that name now because you have that variable that you just created and use that in your code. So that would be the reason. In this case, we weren't needing to use this again, so an underline would suffice. So hopefully that makes sense there. Okay, so that's going to do it for this video here. This is just the basics of the list inside of SwiftUI. So I definitely highly suggest, after you get comfortable with this, to go and dig in deeper, because you will use list a lot. No, let me rephrase that. You will use list all the time, a ton. All right, so if you did benefit from this, definitely like the video, hit the bell if you want to see upcoming content, and subscribe to the channel if you have not yet. Lastly, if you have questions, concerns, or even comments just to say the video was terrible, go ahead and leave those below, because I'd like to see it. You know, I never know if I'm doing something wrong, or I could do something better if someone's not telling me to do so. So it definitely does benefit both you and I. So let's go ahead and get those comments rolling, and I'll see you in the next one.